What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the Wise Take MLB First Look. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And we have a massive 15-game slate on a Tuesday. We are approaching the dog days of summer, the dog days of MLB. I guess as far as the summer kind of goes, it's more about we're approaching the fall. Which means we are approaching the end of MLB. You'll probably notice some of the variants will kick in a little extra here. Some of these teams not really playing for much. I'm going to start to see certain teams shut down certain pitchers in efforts to not waste them. And you're going to start seeing a lot of call-ups. We've already seen a lot, but expect to see a lot more of those. See some of the young guys. With that said, this time of year, I try to avoid certain chalk more than ever. On a 15-game slate, I don't think we have to worry about that. But just in general, kind of going forward, our outlook for the rest of the season. But at this point, scaling back the volume a little bit, trying to build that bankroll, getting ready for NFL Week 1, which is in a couple weeks. We'll continue to grind MLB in between the NFL weeks, but definitely want to make sure we have a pretty solid bankroll week to week in the NFL, since it's only really a once a week thing as far as serious volume, serious play goes. Looking at this slate, again, loaded. We got Justin Verlander, Giolito, Corbin, BUEHLER. Just pretty much every tier you can find guys to use. As far as cash games go, Verlander is obviously a fine option. Never really seems like there's ever a bad time to take Verlander. At $12K, the price is going to be prohibitive, so if you can't find a decent pairing with him, I don't hate the idea of coming down to Walker Buehler. Buehler had an exceptionally bad start against Miami, in Miami. Kind of shocking, but in between there, he's been pretty awesome. The last time he saw the Padres, he was at home in LA, but went complete game, gave up one run, which came as a home run and had 15 Ks. So I think he's justifiable if you want to save $1,000. Luis Castillo, you can make an argument for. Similarly, he's been good in between, all around, one bad start. And he gets a matchup with Miami. So I think there's multiple ways you're going to be able to go. I think it ultimately comes down to which options you feel the most comfortable with and how much do you need the money. When looking for an SP2, we'd obviously like to go as cheap as possible. I don't see anybody super cheap. Maybe you can take a shot on a Hauser. Hauser just saw these guys in St. Louis. Now he's going to see Milwaukee, a much better hitter's park. And the Cardinals did break the slate tonight, so I'm a little concerned about it. But at 5K, he definitely works and is going to allow you to do what you have to do. I wouldn't be surprised if PLUTKO gained some traction at 6,500 because he's a matchup with Detroit. I've been trying to attack this dude every day, and it just doesn't really work, despite the fact that he has massive fly ball rates, massive hard contact rates. It just manages to, for the most part, pitch around. You can see on most of these games, his fly ball rate is just ridiculously high and just kind of, keeps it in the park somehow. So maybe in cash games he gets some traction. Not a guy I feel totally comfortable with. I think Tanaka against Seattle is also worth a look. Again, you're starting to spend some money here, but again, big park in Seattle. It's going to see a lot of lefties, but he does have a splitter, so typically that pitch can be effective to lefties. So I'm curious to see how he does, but I'm not all that intimidated by Seattle's lineup. And if you can stomach all the lefties he's going to see, I am fine with Tanaka. After that, it's just like the guys above, there are decent options. It's just hard to envision reaching them if you are pitching Verlander, Corbin, or even Luis Castillo. But in cash, you want guys that are affordable, that have the highest likelihood of hitting their salary. and you need to find the right balance. And people talk about you want a ceiling, but you want a high floor. Well, that's every fucking player you look for. You want that, right? Wouldn't it be ideal if everybody was like that, right? But yeah, again, they're gonna be a tougher cash slate. The good thing about these is you don't have to worry about the block. Just play who you think is the best, and just go with it. So if you do have the skill aspect, or if you get some help from us when you build your cash teams tomorrow, you will have an edge. It's not going to be like everybody has the same cash team. I think we'll see a lot of different combinations tomorrow. As far as tournaments go, same guys are obviously in play. We can add to this list a little bit by looking at maybe a Caleb Smith at 9K. Is the savings worth it? I don't know. Hasn't shown a ton of ceiling lately, but he has had tough matchups. He saw Atlanta twice and the Dodgers once. And mind you, he was returning from an injury. So I like his chances against Cincinnati in this park. Issue, of course, is Cincinnati's actually tougher to strike out against lefties, so that's an issue. And I just don't see anybody else that I feel like I'm going to come off of one of these top-tier guys. I just don't see it. So I'd probably kind of stick with those same combinations. High-low has been the popular way to go, and it's honestly been pretty successful, just finding the SP1 that you think has the highest ceiling tonight, and then matching him with the SP2 who you think is just underpriced. And there are a few of these guys that do seem maybe underpriced. As far as offense goes, similar to pitching, there's just a lot, right? We got Coors. We got the Boston Red Sox in Coors. Fine, yeah, there we go. We've got Porcello and Rico Garcia going, who will be making a spot start for German Marquez, who was placed on the 10-day IL. We got Porcello. Porcello, I don't believe, is a very good pitcher. He is a veteran pitcher. He has the capability of, pulling out those games every once in a while because he is a veteran. But the offenses here look pretty good. Boston side especially, they get a massive park boost even for them. And Colorado's bullpen's been terrible. Colorado I do like, but mainly against Porcello. I'm hoping they get the Porcello right at the gate, and then they get into the long relief. But that's an obvious spot. And just one of them, I think, that I'm not even going to talk about some of these smaller ones, but I think like Philly against Brault could be kind of interesting. You have the Yankees against Kikuchi. Definitely a boomer bust type spot. Kikuchi coming off of the best game of his season, a complete game, 8 Ks against Toronto. Now he's going to see the Yankees, who have been red hot since sweeping the Dodgers, or not sweeping the Dodgers, but since playing the Dodgers, playing them really well. Atlanta is going to get a bullpen game. Now, Toronto, they don't stick to their word like some of these other teams have. They'll say Godley's the probable long reliever, but he might not come into the 5th or 6th. But Godley against Atlanta sounds pretty nice, right? That sounds pretty good to me. As far as some of the higher upside, more contrarian stacks, the Twins are going to be an interesting gamble against Giolito. Giolito just dominated them, 12 Ks, 9 innings, complete game, just dominated them. Went for 51 DraftKings points, and he was on a streak of dominance before that. He has been good this year. But this time the game's in Chicago, a much better hitter-friendly park. And again, he just saw the Twins a ton. So I'm very, very curious. I'm sure the ownership on the Twins will be low. The slate is so big that I'm sure the ownership on Giolito will remain low. So that's definitely a boomer bust type of spot where I kind of want to see what happens. The last team I'll talk about here is the Washington Nationals. Aaron Brooks has been pretty bad. Granted, he wasn't terrible against Kansas City. But Washington's offense has been really, really hot. And while I wish this game was in Baltimore, I still think the Nationals against Brooks and the Baltimore bullpen is going to present plenty of upside. We'll want to check the weather, see if we get any humidity boost. I know there's a little bit of a cold front going through the northeast. But definitely a spot that I want to look into pretty hard tomorrow. That I can say. So as you can see, it's I'm not going to go over every spot we'll be here all night, but the point is the slate is loaded. There's a lot everywhere. The good thing is that there's not as much of a clear like oh this is chalk. You kind of just get to play what you think is the best spot, and you kind of throw ownership out the window on a slate this large, and just play who you think is best and hope that the others with all these other available options make the mistakes. And of course, play in smaller sized contests. I'm not saying that the dollar amount is up to you as far as your bankroll, what you can afford, but play in contests that have, less people. Less people, the better. Under 300 is ideal. I mean, in the hundreds is ideal. But kind of reduce some of the field for you. Compete against less people in your contest. You can still play the donkeys with those teams, but that's what you do on a 15-game slate that's loaded. You don't want to be going against every single possible combination when guys are putting in 150 different teams and use that as your only contest for the day. You understand? All right. I'm going to do some top threes in a second. Before I do that, I'm going to remind everybody, if you haven't checked us out at YUSEI.com, make sure you come over, stop by, check us out. It's $2.50 for a day pass. You'll get access to all of the MLB content for one full day. Only thing you don't get access to is the Slack chat. So you'll get access to the articles, the cheat sheet, as well as the Y stream, a live stream we do 2 hours before lock for our members. Only thing you don't get is the Slack chat. Slack chat is for monthly members or higher. To get access to the Slack chat, you must be a monthly member or higher, meaning like season pass, all sports, etc. But you'll want to do that anyway. Try the day pass. If you see, our goal is to help you become a better DFS player, and if you see how that could help you, then save some money, get in the Slack, and start grinding. Because really, some of our guys in the Slack have been winning. Like B Super Pack, one of our members, he's in the Slack all the time. I always see his name in there. He's grinding away, working hard, and he's been on a nice little winning streak, man, making some good money. Won another $1,500 the other night. He's killing it. He's hard work. Got to work hard. We'll help you, but you got to put in the work. All right, top three pitchers. So as of right now, I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna go with Walker Buehler, number 1, Luis Castillo, number 2. And I guess for the time being, I'll go with Hauser. I feel like a fish for doing that. And I was on Hauser in this last spot. I was all in on him, and he did awesome. It was great, groovy. But it does make me uncomfortable that he just saw these dudes, and this time it's in a smaller park. But as of right now, 5K just does seem too cheap for him with the way he's been pitching. Top 3 stacks. We will go with Boston, number 1. I know it's a little more of a chalky spot, but Boston, number 1. Washington, number 2. And I think I'm going to go with Philly for number 3 against Brault. Philly has been playing a lot better. It's a decent park for hitting, even if the weather isn't so awesome. It is one of the better hitting parks out there, dimension-wise. So, yeah, there you have it. Boston, Washington, Philly for now. Dong watch, who's going deep? Home runs. So let's go with... I'm going to go with... Let's go with Rhys Hoskins. We'll go Rhys Hoskins. We will go Washington player. I want to go Matt Adams. I'm assuming Adams is playing. This is another first baseman. But I'd like to get Adams in there. We'll go Rendon, though, for the visual. Or no, Soto. That's what we'll do. Let's go Soto. So Hoskins, Soto. And let's go with a Boston player. I'm thinking JD. Hoskins, Soto, JD. I'm liking it. Home runs. And that's going to do it. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications bell so you're notified whenever we come out with any content. Don't forget to check out the Wise Take Nation podcast. Rock with the nation. For myself, the entire Wise Take Nation, as always, good luck.
Yeah.